and number 43 of the day. They're being eliminated from this tournament fairly slowly, it has to be said. We're hoping to play down to 2 tables today. We'll definitely get 5 full levels in, if not. This is level 2 of the day. 34 remain out of our field of 861. Kursakov in the cutoff makes it 30,000 to go. And Zavoloka here with the ace on the button has a decision.
Kursakov has been opening a lot of hands, so if Zavoloka was going to get involved here, I'd imagine it'd be a 3-bet rather than a flat call, but ace-4 off is a pretty miserable hand, so I don't mind the fold. I think it's pretty standard. I don't think Vlodko's folding 2 suited cards in the big blind, though.
Мы вдвоем? Call. 30, да?
So why do they speak Russian all the time but then announce their actual card moves in English?
It might be a case, some of my really good friends in poker are German, so they will talk in German when they're explaining a hand, but it's just universal call fold, so I'm not going to try and...
I'm going to assume that the dealers are Russian as well. That's what makes it a little bit odd.
Yeah, but it might be even when they are speaking Russian, you know, at home, that they just use call fold and raise.
Because it's a universal...
Yeah, because
global.
the buttons on stars might say call, fold, raise, so they just learn it, and then even though they're speaking Russian, them couple of words are always thrown in.
Okay. It's a little bit like cafe for us, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That works. Vlodko here has checked his gut shot on the flop. Kursakov also with a gut shot. They want each other's cards.
I really don't mind the check back here from Kursakov, because if Vlodko checks the turn, you can probably start betting. So the late c-bet's going to work here quite often. When he turns to 7, I would imagine that he'll try and just get the showdown more often than not here. That matte black trophy in the background is looking pretty.
Do you know, I was just looking at that and I was thinking it'd be very easy for Vlodko just to reach across and stuff that in his bag. He's not making any...
No cameras in sight to get caught.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he'd get away with it. He's got one hand on it as it is, because he's got a huge amount of chips at the moment. Although, that is going to be a very interesting card on the river here. It completes his straight, and he is just running like God right now. And Kursakov has hit his king and his 7, 2 pair for him. This is going to get pricey.
I'm not too sure if we're going to see a call here. Maybe Vlodko can have some 8x and 9x of clubs that would bet small and then see the opportunity to bluff on a 4 to a straight board. But more often than not, when he bets here again, I just think he's going to have it. I don't think he's the kind of player that if he gets to this river with a king, that bet with a good shot. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the fold, but I think it's pretty standard.
Very good fold.
А для кого 25,000?
It's funny that Jesse Pinkman was sat in that seat before, and now the replacement has got one of those yellow boiler suits that they wore in Breaking Bad.
From us, how many rubles are these guys playing for? First place is going to be 27 million.
And what's 27 million in US dollars?
$476,000 for first place.
Correct. Queen high flop looks good for Rad Zivanov. Who looks like he's just about to pull off a train heist. Peachagin, who was the initial pre-flop raiser, he's got checked both times on the flop, and now Radzivanov has made it 75,000 with his 2 pair that he's turned here. Now, why is Peachagin hanging around?
He knew he was going to hit a straight on the river.
That's why he was hanging around. Wow. Okay, let's say that didn't come down, which most of the time it doesn't. What was his plan there, making that call?
Maybe he thinks that sometimes he has the best hand against maybe an 8-9 or a Jack-9 and diamond sort of hand. Maybe he just had an open-ended straight draw and he just didn't want to fold. Wow, that's
All
a very
in
quick shove.
is the call.
It's nearly
From
never
Michigan.
going to be a bluff when he acts so quickly there, I don't feel. Of course, we can see the cards, but he didn't. It felt like he didn't even need to think about it for a moment.
Michigan has a very big stack.
A frustrated, but a good fold.
Back to day 2, Volodka.
Hopefully.
Volodka with 2 million chips is a pretty scary proposition, isn't it, for the rest of this table?
I like having a player at the table with whom you know you'll probably get into a large situation and it's going to be one of the two of you coming out with all the chips.
Both got the top pair on the flop, but of course Martirosyan has picked up the 9 as well, and Zavaloka has a bit of a situation here.
Still is 3% thanks to the flush draw he has. He will have to stick around for a while probably.
I mean, this is going to be one of the strongest hands that he gets to flops with. He's going to be calling so wide out of the big blind.
Yeah, and it's a new player, so when that's the situation, then you kind of have to stick around because you don't know yet if they're going to be very tight or not. And a player being very tight is the only reason why you would ever consider folding on the turn. So
Martirosyan is home and hosed, 100% lock on this hand.
And the thing about this turn is the repeat 9. A lot of ace-x hands now might not be looking for 3 streets. So if you do see a bet on the turn, we actually see him check back, which I think is reasonable, because hands like ace-jack and ace-10 might want to check back.
From Martirosyan's position, you mean?
Yeah, from Martirosyan's position.
That's right. At the same time, though, the most money you can hope to win is probably now from a 9, which is not that unlikely as a big blind caller. So the big blind represents actually more 9x hands here on this board than the open raiser from another gun who basically only has the suited 9s. So as the big blind, when you face a small turn bet, you can consider check raising, say 5 high, which would be a gut shot, or a deuce, or a flush draw. So I would optimally, with a hand like ace-9, actually hope for a small bet that entices a little bit of more action. Also, when a club hits on the river, I mean, you're still going to get all the money in against a 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Do you think too thin for Zavalovka to be leading here, or are we trying to get value from kings? I guess is the only hand.
That's an interesting play he's doing here. I would assume that because he bet nearly the pot size, right? He bet 140 into 176. I don't think he's trying to get it in against kings. I think he's trying to get the other ace to fold, which is an interesting play to consider. Because from all the hands that are check calling in Zavaloka's position, there might be a king high with just a 1 club, but they will often be a flush draw or a 9. So if you are sitting there with ace-5 or ace-jack in Martirosyan's position, I can see how people would consider a fold against a pot size.
Certainly, yeah.
I don't think they often would though in the end, because there's just still a bit too many 5 highs and king highs that might bet. But it's definitely worthwhile to sometimes bet with a hand that you think is splitting.
Here's a man who won't be folding. Jack 10 suited for Volodka.
No way, no way. Bet your house on it. He will be sticking around with Jack 10.
Very strong consideration by our big blind.
Shakarine got in the big here. 8-4 suited. It's a Volodka hand.
We did see Shakarine yesterday getting a little bit out of line, defending a 7-3 of spades, and ended up leading with a gut shot straight draw for 2 streets. So if he does flop equity, we may have to anticipate him leading into Volodka here. Could be fireworks.
He did basically point out that he doesn't have a strong hand with the way that he called there.
2 spades on the flop here make Shakarine sit up in his seat. But it's top pair for Volodka.
Я сам не даю.
Держусь из последних сил.
An action
I
flop.
like his style during the hand. He started already talking to him before the flop. Now he said, "No, Vanichka," which is like a cutification of the first name. What do you call it? Nickname?
Yeah, nickname, yeah.
I like your version, cutification. It's no spade, but it is a 4, so that gives Shakarayan a little bit more in the tank.
Pretty surprised to see Volodko check back here, especially versus the big blind. There's so many.
Oh, wow.
It's just dropped in on the end here, and Jack 10 looks pretty good still.
No, he only bets 40,000.
Should have
That will
checked, right?
sometimes happen because
Лешель доехал.
Ivan bet, or Vanichka bet
No,
40,000 on the flop very
Course.
quickly, and
Yeah.
he kinda, I guess, had a thing in his own
No,
head
не
of
мог
it would be fun
сбросить.
to bet the same size as well.
Да.
But it would be even more fun to just bet pot size here, because you have 10-8, Queen 10, Queen 8, and all sorts of cards.
And especially against Volodko as well, who's a tendency just to click call. If he has a 9, he's probably never folding. Obviously, if he's going to be as strong as a Jack having checked back, you just got to go big, right? Try and
That's right.
maximise.